Yo guys, what's good? Welcome back to SP Vids. Really delighted to be back making content again. Had a little break because of work commitments and that kind of thing. I'm sure we all understand that. So yeah, really good to be back. Thank you all for the subs and likes and comments. Getting a lot of questions at the moment, and I'm obviously working as well, so I'm trying my best to answer those for you guys. Hope they've been helping. So let's get down to business with this video, guys. In this one, I'm going to show you how to make a full beat with Resample. So years ago, I did a video using Resample to show you how to make a drum loop, essentially. What I want to do in this one is go even further than that and show you how to add the samples and chops and everything. The reason I've decided to do this one is because a lot of people have been asking me questions recently saying, I start resampling, my sample's cut off and it stops recording, what's going on there? Yep, that's something we all have to put up with. It's not something you're doing wrong. You can only resample a certain amount of samples at the same time. And basically what you want to do is make sure all your drums are in mono before you start. That's the first thing that you should do if you're thinking about making a beat with Resample. You'll see it says stereo. You resample, and when you've got both of these buttons pressed, you take off stereo. Okay, and then you've got a mono sample. You can get around it by mixing mono and stereo samples. It just takes a little bit longer because you can use fewer and fewer pads at the same time, but it obviously still is possible. So I'll show you how to make a full beat, and then you can go off and try this for yourself and see how it works for you. So I put a little beat up on my Instagram the other day. If you're not following me on there, I'll just put a little handle on there so you can go and check it out. I've been posting a lot more content on there whilst I've been quite busy, so if you still want to get involved with some beat related stuff and need some inspiration, go and check me out on Instagram at SPVids. So you might have heard this beat that I put up the other day, and this is the sample. I've still got it in here, but I'm actually going to mess around with it a little bit and create a different beat from it. I really like that as a loop, and I've got my drum sounds as well. These drum sounds are all in Lo-Fi Beats Volume 2, so I'll drop a link to that for you in the description and probably in the top right as well. So really nice. I've done a little bit of treatment on those with EQ and that kind of thing, so they've got a nice crispy sound to them. So let's get to this. The first thing I'm going to do is resample those two pads together to create the loop that I can then apply the drums to. So let's go ahead and do that. I do want this to be in stereo, and I'm running out of pads already, as you can see in this bank. So let's hit up 5, hit record, and it's not going to record until you start hitting the pad, so that's quite a nice feature. Okay, so I'm trying to stop recording there at the end of the loop, but you can use this start end button here just to tweak it if you get it slightly wrong. If it's too short, you're going to have to re-record it, unfortunately. Resample is very destructive as a way of making beats. There's no way you can undo what you've done, really. So once you've committed to a loop, etc., etc., once you start building it up, if you do something wrong, you're probably going to have to start all over again. So this is why it's quite a tricky kind of style of making beats, and it really is kind of an art form making beats with Resample, but hopefully this video will get you well on the way anyway. Okay, so that loop's pretty good. You will notice that you kind of get a click sometimes at the end of your sample. See if you can hear it when I'm looping this round for you. Just a tiny little click at the end. So what you can do is just take off the end of the sample, or play around, or maybe it's the start as well. There we go, that's fixed it straight away. So now what we're going to do is we're not going to try and layer all the drums on top, because I'll show you what happens straight away. Look at this. The sample stopped. I'm sure that's probably the issue that most of you are having. So what I'm going to have to do on that loop is do each drum one at a time. So let's start with the hi-hat probably, actually. That's probably a good one to start with for this. Okay, so that's down. One thing I did forget to mention is always go a little bit further than just the first loop when you're making a loop. That way it gives you a little bit of contingency at the end of the loop to do your chopping until you're really happy with the loop, and then you can fully get it looping properly. I'll do this again just to show you what I mean. So I'm going to add the hi-hat. Let's just check the levels on this as well, actually, because that's a bit loud. That's a lot better. Okay, so let's leave a little bit of contingency at the end of this sample so I can show you what I mean. See, I just carried on to the second loop, so it just gives me that little bit at the end to be able to slowly chop it down later on. Okay, so I don't need to mess around with the end of that sample for now. What I can keep doing is resampling, and I'll show you again here. Let's just get rid of this. I'm running out of pads massively here already. So let's add the snare in now. Okay. Now what I am going to have to do is delete this one, and I'm going to exchange this to here. Okay, and it's got that little tail on the end which is going to be handy in a little bit. You don't have to get it exactly right when you're first working out the loop and adding the drums in. So let's do the kick. Okay, so now we've got a loop with full drums. So this is one way of doing it. You've got a full loop there, and you can just keep looping that around. Do that for a minute, and you've got a beat basically, a nice lo-fi beat, flip from the SP. Like a lot of SP beats will sound like this because a lot of people will make beats using resamples. So you will find that SP beats tend to be one loop over and over and over again, which is nice because you get into a nice groove with listening to it. So it's not a bad thing that I'm saying here about the sound of it. It's just because of the limitations of the SP and the resampling method, you might notice that the SP sound is a little bit more repetitive than say if you've made it in a DAW and Ableton, where you've got the freedom to do whatever you want with the beat. So we've got that loop now, and what I'm going to do is trim it so that it is actually a working loop. So I'm going to use the mark button for this. So I hit mark at the very start, and then I hit mark at where I wanted it to end as well. So let's see how I got on with that one. And not overly great by the looks of it. So what I'm going to do is try that again. Okay, so I'm going to use the start and end button again now to get this loop working perfectly. So let's have a play around with that. Oh, there we go. I got it straight away. That was really nice and lucky, that one. So now what I can do is truncate that. So I'm going to use delete, mark and delete. Truncate. And now Okay, I actually really like that. That's a nice loop, and that is one way which you can use Resample to make beats. Now there is another way which I figured out, and this like crazy blew my mind when I figured this one out. Never forget that the sample time on the SP is pretty much unlimited. You get so much time to record onto these pads, 32GB card in there. So what you can do is you can map out the whole song onto a pad, and instead of just making a loop, you're going to do the whole song in one go and record that, and then you're going to go through and do the bass drum for the whole song, you're going to go through and do the snare for the whole song, and you're going to go through, sorry, couldn't even say that sentence at the end there, and then you go through and do the hi-hat for the whole song, right? So it's probably going to take you about 5 minutes to do a 1 minute loop, right? Because you're going to have to do it every time over and over. But this does mean that you can add in more variety into the loop. You can drop out drum hits and drop snares and bass drums and kicks, hi-hats, just to make your beat sound a bit more spicy. So we've got that as a loop. I don't really want to ruin that because it's quite nice. So let's delete these others. And I'm not going to do the full track, obviously, because I don't want to watch you do it. I don't want to waste your time me doing the whole, every single part over and over. I'll just quickly show you what I mean. So resample record again, and we're going to use pad 5 again to start. Record, and then what I'm going to do is the whole song for those two samples that I want, okay? So okay, so you get the idea for that. I'm going to go through and do everything I want for this song. So now on this pad 5, I've got a continuous loop going round and round and round. And what I can do now is something along the lines of this. Let's say I want to do the hi-hat first. Let's just get that mapped out. So I'm doing an intro first here. This is like someone's playing the instrument live, and now I'm going to come in and start the drums, right? Okay, so that's as far as my song goes. So let's now add the other stuff in that we need to. I'm going to have to keep deleting this and move these back to 5 because I'm running out of space on the bank. You can use other banks, you can resample onto other banks, but I like to have it all here for some reason. It just makes more sense to me. If you're doing one beat, it's all in this one area that you can work with. So we've got the hats on, let's do the snare. And we'll use hold because it's going to be a pain to hold that otherwise. Okay, so now we've got the snare down, let's do the kick. So delete 5 again, exchange this, let's get straight into it. Okay, so there it is. So that's how you go mapping out a full track, and obviously you're not going to run out of space on pad 7 because the SP's just got so much recording time. So your beat's only probably going to be between 1 and 1.5 minutes long anyway, so you've got plenty of time basically. So let's have a listen to what that sounds like. It's not perfect, I've rushed it, but let's have a listen anyway. Add some effects maybe. Let's add a bit of isolator. Get a bit of hiss on it as well. how I've left the bass drum kicks out, so adds a little bit of variety. Okay guys, so that's it for this one. I think this might be a little bit longer than I was expecting, but there was quite a lot to explain in that one. I hope it all makes sense. I don't plan anything I say for these videos, I just sit down and start talking, so hopefully it makes sense. As ever, if you've got any questions, just feel free to ask, and I will gladly answer them for you when I have the time. If you want to support me, please go and check out my new channel that I've created. It's called Tape Geek, and what I'm going to be doing is putting lo-fi music and beat tapes and other stuff on that. If you want to submit anything, leave a comment and we'll work out about how to get in touch. Basically, just want to get lo-fi beat tapes on there, and to help you guys out with a bit of promotion, and hopefully using the audience I've got here, we can get some people in front of your music. So that's very exciting. I'm going to be spending some time on that this year as well, trying to build that up. Apart from that, just please check out the links below my videos, and it shows you how you can get involved with the channel and help out and all that kind of stuff. There's Amazon affiliate links, there's links to my beat packs, Spotify playlists, all kinds of stuff going on related to lo-fi beat making and listening to lo-fi. So please go and check that out. Goes without saying, if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. I'm really keen to try and get to 10k subs this year. That's the word I was looking for, year. 2020. Want to try and get to 10k subs. It's quite a big ask, but I reckon we can do it. So if you could hit that subscribe button, I would really appreciate it, and thumbs up as well while you're over there with the mouse. So that's it for this one, guys. Really hope you enjoyed the beat that I made. I hope that helps you out and helps you understand how to make a full beat with Resample, and you get this is how you get the raw sort of SP sound, I think.